living in 2 BHK is as satisfactory and happy as living in a 10 BHK bungalow. It's same. So your race is not about the money. Your race is about the freedom. And that is what people need to think about. From day one, if you feel, what do people want? Somebody who is struggling to get his food for the night, or somebody who has $1 billion in his bank. What do all of these people want? Average people, what do they want? Everybody wants one thing: happiness. We all want to be happy. And happiness comes from freedom.
This is episode number 115 of The Inspiring Talk with Raj Shamani. Welcome back inside yet another episode of The Inspiring Talk. My name is Bijay Gautam. I'm your host for this show. Each week, I interview today's most successful and inspiring personalities to help you realize your inner potential. I'm excited to have Raj Shamani on the show today. Raj is a digital content creator with over 1 million followers across the platforms. He is a keynote speaker who has delivered more than 200 keynote speeches in 26 countries. And here's what's interesting about Raj. At the age of 16, he started his first company, which was making $1 million revenue within a year. At the age of 17, he delivered speech at the United Nations. At the age of 18, he started fully sponsored Europe tour, delivering speeches in 14 different countries. At the age of 19, he met Gary Vee and became an investor. At the age of 20, he gave his TEDx talk. And this list of his accomplishments goes on and on. He's one of the top creators of the country who is inspiring people through his content and journey. In this episode, we dive deep into the understanding of financial freedom. And we also talk about emotional, psychological, and societal freedom and how all of these are linked together. And no wonder our conversation went on for 1 hour, 30 minutes. There's a lot to take from this episode. Pay attention, take notes, and enjoy the conversation. Welcome back inside yet another episode of The Inspiring Talk. And I'm super excited to be joined by Raj Shamani. Raj, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. Okay. It has been a long time, like since I've been on someone's podcast, because most of the time I am calling people on my podcast. So it feels good to be on the other side of the dial.
Yeah, it's always good to be on the other side of the table. So for me as well, when I go on the other podcast, I'm like, oftentimes it have like, welcome to the show. And I'm like, oh, I realize that I'm a guest on the show, not a host. I think it was a couple of months back, I came across this post on LinkedIn from a random guy that goes something like this: how I met Gary Vaynerchuk. And then he talks about how he went to this event, and then there's Gary Vaynerchuk talking with other people, and he said that he goes and says to D-Rock, who is the videographer for Gary Vee, and says that, hey, I just want to stand here and see how he is having conversation with these folks, and I just don't drink, and I'm just here. I just want to stand and see him. And that got me intrigued. Like, that sounds interesting. And that's how I came across you. When I was just thinking like, hey, how did I came to know about Raj? And then later on, I discovered your content on Instagram, and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. So if your life was a movie, where would it begin?
Where would it begin?
Yeah.
Oh.
How would it start?
Okay. It would start in Indore, in a small colony, which we call a street called Dwarkapuri. Okay. That's where it starts. I have a vivid memory of where I was born and how my surrounding was, how my first house was. There was my house. Then uske paas mein, there was a little small plot. And then near that plot, there was a lake. It's not a lake. How do you call it? Like, it's something which is everybody's when we were young, people used to throw their trash into that piece of water, like that particular water body. I used to live nearby that. And I was fortunate enough to be born in a family where my mom, dad, uncle, grandfather, grandmother, we were like 10 people in the family. I never felt a need where I had to go out and start paving my own way and try to live an uncomfortable life, because my parents and my family made sure that I live a pretty comfortable life. They were struggling when we started, but when I was born, they were really struggling. My dad was just trying to get his way past everything else. So, but he never made us feel that. So that's where I come from. I saw my dad going from nothing to our hero, our family's hero, our extended family's hero, the city's hero, and now the country's hero, because he runs one of the biggest NGOs in the country. So I've been blessed to see entrepreneur right in front of me. That's where my journey starts. It starts with an admiration. So my journey starts with admiration, where I look up to this one person in my own house, who's not educated enough, who doesn't come from a rich background, who has tried maybe 10, 20 different types of businesses. And before I was born, he has pushed carts on the street, tried to sell coconuts. And from there on, he goes on to build an empire. That is where my story starts. It starts with a dream.
That was seeded or planted on you, not directly though, just by observing your dad working and trying so hard to make sure that, his kids and family get what he couldn't get.
Absolutely. Like my father said, when we were young, right? So my father always used to say this one thing, that I didn't get everything in my life, but I'm going to make sure that my kids get everything. And that's what I think every father does, right?
Absolutely.
But I was the eldest boy in the entire family. And because, since the beginning, boys have been taught that one day you have to take care of the family. One day you'll be the one leading the charts. So I used to look up to my dad and be like, Dad, you know what? Like, what will I be able to do? Will I be able to do this? Because I'm not good at studies. I'm not good at sports. I'm not good at speaking in English or talking to someone and just holding a conversation, because till 12th, I was not able to speak in English properly. So my dad used to be like, that's for you to decide later. Today, I'm going to make sure that no matter where you are living a comfortable life. So you have time till 25. Till the age of 25, you figure out whatever you want to do. If you are successful in your thing, we will push you, we'll help you, we'll support you with that. If not, I'll kick you and make you do what I feel like is right. So till 25, you have time.
No, I think that's a really, great thing a parent can do for their child, because a lot of parents do not give this kind of liberty for their kids to, and tell them like, go and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I've been fortunate. I mean, touch wood, man. Like, I've been blessed with this thing that my parents never, ever, ever stopped me from doing what I want to do. Never. Like, in terms of career specifically, never. In fact, I remember when I told my dad, like, I want to become a sports person. He's like, become a sports person. I said, I want to become a basketball player. That's like, find out whether your height, health, and your abilities are suitable to that thing is no. If the answer is yes, I'll support you. Even though back then, my dad didn't know what basketball is or was.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had never seen any basketball, because in India, apart from cricket, there's nothing. And especially if you come from a family who's not very well exposed to the modern world. So my dad's like, do whatever you want to do. And I've been fortunate that way. And even till date, my dad has more data points about my content than me. He knows that, okay, your this video reached million. Your this video didn't do well. Your this video, now you have 40 videos who have crossed millions. Now you have 52 videos which have crossed million. Now you have this. Like, he has with dates, with time. He knows everything. The day my followers get 100 below, like the other day, my follower count dropped from 100K. No, 1K, sorry. Okay. So my dad he just called me in the middle of the night and was like, you know what? Your followers are dropping. What are you doing? You need to buck up, right? You need to do something really good. Or have you thought that you're just done here? I was like, no, dad, like, I'm really doing it. So he keeps an eye. He supports me a lot.
Does that also put a lot of pressure on you? That
no. Not at all. Because this takes me back
maybe
to again.
In a healthy way?
No, not at all. Not at all. Nothing. My parents have never put me pressure, and nothing they say has put me pressure till now. And this gets me back to my school days, okay? When I was in 9th or 10th standard, I was born in a family of toppers. All my cousins are toppers. They all are like 94%, 96%. My dad was a state topper till 10th, then he had to leave studies. So everybody's
Mm.
topper. And I am getting 55%, 60%. Okay. My dad comes to me in 10th standard. He's like, everybody's talking about, and 10th boards is really important to get marks. If you come from a middle class Indian family, bro, you know what happens, right? You need
Absolutely.
to get, there's nothing below 90. There's nothing. They don't know any other number. Right? So my dad comes to me and he's like, you know what? You do whatever you want to do. Just make sure that you give your best. Even if you fail, it doesn't matter. Marks से ना कोई बड़ा बना है ना कोई बन सकता है. Try करते रहो. That's all I care. This was 10th standard. And he's talking in front of 10 people in my family. And all 10 of them are toppers.
Mm.
Telling them on their faces कि marks से कुछ नहीं होता. Like, so I think that's the attitude my dad carries. That's the attitude my mom carries. Everybody is very happy with whatever I do. And I think they support me in a way where it's like, that's like, जब तक मैं हूं ना, तब तक doesn't matter, we'll figure out together something. We'll do something together. Doesn't matter what you do. Even if you fail, you get up tomorrow again, we'll have to push carts on the road, we'll do it. Till the time you, me, your brother, your mom, we are here, we can get it done. What do we need? There are 3 people to feed 1 girl. That's it. We can do that.
And it's interesting, right? While you had this amazing support system at your home, your dad supporting you and allowing you to do whatever you want to do and giving you the freedom that you wanted to. We'll go in deep about freedom as a theme later in this conversation. But on the other hand, in the school, you struggled being accepted.
Oh
being
my
accepted
God.
and trying to fit in, trying to be cool kid.
Okay, so I'll talk about this journey, okay? Because when you are, especially a teenager, okay, when you're in teenage years, you just hit puberty, you're getting out of your shell. And especially in India, you've been taught since the beginning that you need to seek validation. So since the beginning, it goes back then when we were 5 years old. When we were 5 years old, our mothers tell us she dresses up and she's like, now you're all ready, good looking. Now go ask your dad, how do you look? So when you're 5-year-old, you have been taught that you need to seek validation from other person. You're never taught that, go look yourself in the mirror and check how do you look. No.
And they themselves don't know that they are doing it, right? They are unconscious of it.
I'm not saying that it's wrong or right. I'm saying that you have been taught since the beginning that you need to seek validation from other people. You need to do that. And that becomes a constant urge and constant need. Then as you grow, you start asking your cousins, how do you look? How do you sound? How's your outlook in the world? Then you start asking your friends. So at every point, you're seeking validation from external factors. So now validation has a pretty sweet point. Okay. It's like an addiction. Once you've gotten a validation, you need more validation. So I am in my teenage years. I'm in my 10th. I don't remember anything before 10th. And 10th, 11th, I guess. I'm not good at sports. So no guys are, looking at me as someone who we should hang out with or who we should include to in our parties. Because parties were what? Like just sports people. Like, basketball team ek saath ghumega, football team ek saath rahega. And all of that will happen. Right? Then you can't speak in English properly. So no girl is interested in you because girls technically at that time, especially in my school, they were more driven towards people who could speak flawlessly and fluently, okay? And who were like, then you were not even good at studies. So teachers are also not giving you attention. So literally in school, nobody is giving you attention. And you spend more than 60%, 70% of your day in your school. There, nobody is giving you attention. Nobody is even caring about your existence, that you are there.
Yeah.
Right. So that made me ask myself a lot of questions. Bro, I'm not good at anything. What do I do? So there are 3 types of people in school. A, people who are really good at. B, who are not good at. And C, also who are not good at. But B category is someone who's being made fun of. कि ये अच्छे नहीं है तो इनकी उड़ाओ. These are the people who we should make fun of. And C is the category who's worse because they are the ones who's making fun of the B category. Okay. So A is alone. B is less worse, and then there's worse. Good, bad, and worse. The worst people are even like they are the above everyone because they make fun of everyone. The middle, the people who are in middle, who are not bad, but they're not good either. They are the ones who are not getting any attention. Yeah, the average people, they're useless. They're pretty much useless.
Yeah, and I totally, relate to that, because if you're really a good kid, if you're good at something, right, whether that's sports, whether academically, whatever, you are on a spotlight. Your teachers will start notice, people in maybe your juniors and seniors will start notice, and you kind of become mini celebrity in your school.
Yes.
Right? And then the kids who are really bad at anything, like where you fail all the 7 subjects, and then you are also on the spotlight. Then because your teachers, your parents, everybody is kicking your butt, saying that you are good for nothing.
Yeah.
And the average kids, really, as you said, they're almost non-existent because parents don't bother. They know that he's not going to be a topper and he's not going to fail either. He's just gonna...
they've accepted the fact. They're like, he's just like average mango people. So I call mango people like Aam Aadmi is useless. We don't stand anywhere in the school life specifically, okay? So we are useless. Nobody's paying attention at us. Now, useless are the ones they are getting taunt the most. They are getting criticism the most. They are getting scolded the most. Why? Because people have accepted the fact that the bad ones, they are not going to listen anyway. उनको बोलने से मतलब ही नहीं है.
Yeah, and I think there's a, while you were saying this, something that really came up to my mind is the people who we are saying, like, who are really not good at anything. And I think they have, in a way, released that pressure because they have made everyone believe that, what? And everybody would say, like, he's good for nothing. So expectations are extremely low. Nobody expects anything out of them. And they're like, because nobody's expecting, people give up on them, right? People stop telling them anything. Like, you do whatever you want to do. So because, people don't have expectation out of you. And I think in a way you are relieved. Right? Think about this way. So when, you want to do something and you ask your parent and people say no to it, and there are kids, no matter how many times parent would say anything to them, they're still going to do it the other way around. And then at one point of time, parents will give up saying that, you are not going to do anyways. So how does it matter? So I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens. And then now the people who are in average and they want to get out of the shell and they want to go up, they start asking themselves the questions. And just because they ask themselves questions, they try to do something stupid. That out of asking questions, oh, what am I doing? I really need to do something. I need to get out of this. We start asking questions and then we're like, bro, you need to do something, get out of your shell. So I did the same thing. I went up to my teachers and be like, you know what? I'll become the host for the annual function in the school. My vice principal told me, shut up. We cannot put a useless kid like you in front of all the people and jeopardize the image of our school.
Wow.
And that kind of made sense, but it was really bad. It hit me. And then the transformation started happening. And I was like, one day that it came out of rage that I will become such a good speaker that even if this person, this vice principal didn't give me the spotlight which I wanted, I'll get that spotlight automatically. So that's why I just wanted to become a better communicator so that I could host an annual function by myself. So what started as a rage today became my purpose.
Wow. And, in a way, I can also relate similarly. Like I have grown up average all my life, right? No such hard-hitting failure till my 12th. And here I sit for an exam for a university where I wanted to go and I couldn't get through. And I'm like, I have never failed. And here I am. I can't get to this university. And that's when, I remember and telling to myself that doesn't matter if I can't get to the best university, but I'm going to be best wherever I go. And then that's when my own transformation journey kind of, started. And thanks for sharing that. And then obviously, after that, you went on to hit milestones and milestones after that. So quickly, quick snapshot, maybe just walk audience through, the milestones that you have hit in your life. And maybe, after that, we'll talk about some of the deep stuff.
Okay. I haven't done anything significant as of now. I've only tried to improve. Like, I am a deep believer of two things, okay? Having a wealth creation mindset and personal growth. So personal growth starts with communication. So all I did was I wanted to become a better communicator. I just started pursuing that. I want to be able to communicate better. That's all I started with. And that led me to start a business where I became the good salesperson. And then that led me to run one of the most successful FMCG companies in Central India. Then that took me to United Nations and made me one of the youngest speakers in the world to speak for India at United Nations, Vienna, and Europe. That took me to TEDx talks. That took me to couple of colleges across the world, like Babson College, world's #1 entrepreneurship college, Warwick Business School, world UK's #1 college. Then it took me to now today a point where I've given speeches in more than 26 or 27 countries, and I've spoken at more than 250 stages. I've been fortunate to meet people like Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, and have been fortunate to share stages with these people, and now started creating content. And I've been fortunate and grateful that everybody started loving my speaking style or the kind of messages which I'm putting. But everything today, now I have around, I think, close to 1 million followers across the platforms. And all of this still boils down to one thing: trying to become a better communicator, trying to become a better public speaker. That's it. So this is what I've done. And just because I wake up every day with this mindset that I need to become a better communicator, I need to give better messages out there in the world, has taken me from a useless kid to today, wherever I am today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it started with that one thing that happened, one incident in your life where, you said that, okay, now I need to do something about my life.
Yep. And then actually, that if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here. Because at first, all I wanted to was, I just wanted that stage in annual function. Then later, when I started learning about communication, I became a better speaker. I became better communicator. I started creating content. I realized I have literally, as I believe every person has a value. Okay. So I'm a very business kind of person. So every person has a value. We all have hourly value. Like your 1 hour means XYZ. My 1 hour means XYZ.
Absolutely,
Jeff Bezos' 1 hour might mean $1 billion. Like, I don't know, but everybody has that hourly value. So I believe that I have been able to go from my 0 hourly value, where I applied to 70 different companies for an internship to learn about FMCG. They all rejected me. They didn't give me internship even for free. Okay. Nobody replied. So my hourly value was 0 to whatever my hourly value today is, as I've done nothing else, just tried to become better communicator. And that is why I want to teach people and come out more and be like, you know what, guys, I just want you to learn this one thing. Just start talking. Start talking in a way which people can understand. Start talking in a way which influences people. Start talking in a way which moves people. That's it. That can get you from 0 to XYZ net worth.
You said wealth creation. And the first, when you thought about like, you know what, I need to create wealth, make money for myself. And I'm sure it could be because you have seen your father working hard, the kind of background that you come from, right? And that could be why you started. And now when you look back, because you have your own fortune in the entire journey, and when you look back at this, right, how does it feel? Like, the reason that I'm asking this is a lot of young people, or the people who come from the average and middle class family, we think that, that's the end to it. That I make a certain amount of money and I'm done.
I feel it's not okay that they're wrong. Let me tell you that it's wrong. Absolutely.
And how has your perception changed? Yeah.
I'll tell you everything. Okay. So first you ask me, how do you feel? I feel the same, because I was blessed by being born in a family where I didn't have to think about anything. My parents didn't let me think about how to pay rent, or how to eat food, or how to pay your electricity bills, or even the smallest things, like maybe not buy the clothes which you want to buy, maybe not just going out with friends if you want to go out, not eating at a restaurant. They always said no for eating desserts in the restaurant, because if you come from a middle class family, you can't order ice cream for $200, which you can get outside of 20 rupees. So that was the only obligation, but everything else feels same. Nothing has changed. I was living a comfortable life then. I'm living comfortable now. The only thing which has changed is perception towards how I'm spending my money and how I'm making my money. Earlier, I used to trade my time to create wealth. I was like, I need to work 24 hours in a day और मैं दिन भर काम कर करके I'll just hustle hard to make every second worth it. And I'll make enough money where I'll have a fancy car, a fancy house, a fancy villa, all of that. But it's all same. Nothing matters, doesn't at all. Once you get all of this, you realize living in 2 BHK is as satisfactory and happy as living in a 10 BHK bungalow. It's same. So your race is not about the money. Your race is about the freedom. And that is what people need to think about. From day one, if you feel, what do people want? Like you, me, somebody who is struggling to get his food for the night, or somebody who has $1 billion in his bank. What do all of these people want? Average people, people at the top, people at the bottom. What do they want? Everybody wants one thing: happiness. We all want to be happy. And happiness comes from freedom. Some people want financial freedom so that they can buy whatever they want to buy. They can do whatever they want to do, right? Some people want emotional freedom so that their relationship goes really smooth. They don't have to think about their parents. They don't have to think about their spouse. They don't have to think about anything else. Some people think about freedom from society where there's no status building or a cutthroat competition for status, right? Where main zyada bada, my neighbors got this car, so I want another car. Everything is race. We just want freedom to be able to feel completely happy with ourselves. And that is what everybody need to realize. Because if you start creating wealth, or if you start earning money from day one on the basis of this thing, that happiness over everything, then the way you do it is different. If you are an entrepreneur, you don't have to hustle for 24 hours, 24 into 7. You don't have to do that. Entrepreneurship means that you are able to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do. There's no deadline. There's no strict rules. That's why you don't want to work in a job and you want to create something on your own. So why are you forcing yourself to struggle for 24/7? If you don't feel like working, don't work for 2 days. It's up to you.
And that comes from this freedom. And that's what the freedom is, where you don't have to work 24/7, where you can work when you feel like.
That comes from your detachment. Okay. People feel that just because they're going to be in a Mercedes, their life's going to be really, really, really good. Just because they got a BMW, their life's going to be really happy. It's not going to be happy. If you're not happy in your public transport, in a metro, you won't be happy in your BMW either.
Wow. And I think that, that stems from the fact that trying to confuse happiness and pleasure, I think that's where, it's important to understand what a pleasure is and what happiness is.
I tell you, I'm a strong believer of that happiness comes from freedom. Most of the people feel, whether it's pleasure, whether it's materialistic things, whether it's anything, your happiness is not that you have that BMW. Your happiness will, can you afford that BMW when you feel like driving it?
Yep.
That is what you want. You don't want 1 crore rupee car. You want that 1 crore in your hand so that if you feel like, आज अगर मेरा मन हुआ BM चलाने का तो मैं चलाऊंगा. आज अगर मेरा मन हुआ कि मुझे घर में नहीं काम करना, सिर्फ सोना है, तो मैं सोऊंगा. If today I feel like that I just want to spend on a lavish vacation, tonight I just want to fly down to United States of America and go there for 1 week of just relaxation, I should be able to do that. That is what you want. That is why you're making money. You want that Rolex because you could show it to 10 people around you. If you're broke and you want Rolex, you have no clue about what Rolex is. You just want it because you want to show it to other people. So you just want that freedom to be completely yourself and not feel inferior in front of the world. That is what you want.
Deep.
So
that's powerful.
Right? And that's what you want. Like, you just want that freedom, and that will give you happiness. So when we dig down happiness, I always say that like happiness comes from freedom, and freedom, there are 4 types of freedom. So one, we talked about financial freedom. Second, we talked about emotional freedom. Third, we talked about societal freedom. And the fourth is a psychological freedom. Financial freedom is when you are making more money than you're spending without investing your working hours actively. Let me paraphrase it again. When you're able to make enough money without working, which supports your lifestyle, that is financial freedom. It is not Lamborghini in your garage or $1 billion in your bank account. Financial freedom means if you're spending 1 lakh a month, you should have enough assets that they are doing it for you. You don't have to work. Automatically, your 1 lakh is getting taken care of. If your expenses are 10,000 and you can make passively 10,000, that's good. So that's the financial freedom. Now, second is the emotional freedom. Emotional freedom is, most of the people of my age would agree to it, that no matter what you want in your life, you feel that you don't have freedom. You have to ask everything from your mom or dad, whether it's career decision, whether it's deciding your spouse or getting a girlfriend, or whether it's about moving to a different city, whether it's about changing job, whatever. You feel like there's always, you need to convince someone else and you don't have that power to do everything or anything by yourself. That is freedom you want. That is why you feel like, I want to be able to make enough money so that I can live on my own and then take my own decision. Taking your own decision is you are detaching yourself from all the emotional barriers which are stopping you. For many people, it's your husband or wife. Most of the wives feel that their husbands are not allowing her to do what she really wants to do. Or most of the husbands feel like she's not letting him do whatever he wants to do. That's emotional freedom. Then comes your societal freedom. Societal freedom is you are at a level where you don't feel inferior in front of anyone. That is what you want. You want to be superior in front of, because since the beginning you have been taught that बेटा शादी में जा रहे हो, वहां पे तुम्हें 100 लोग दिखेंगे, उन 100 लोगों के सामने तुम्हें बहुत अच्छा दिखना है. तुम घर में कैसे भी दिखो चलता है. You are not taught that you need to upgrade your status and be superior in front of you, in front of the man who's standing in front of the mirror. You are taught that you need to be superior and look good and better than everyone else who's there to judge you. So from the beginning, you're taught that you need to be superior. In India specifically, when it's a status-driven society.
Yeah.
I don't know how many middle-class people can agree to it, but especially when you're going to a wedding, you always club and go in one car of one of your friends or one of your relatives who has the better car. That's what people do. That's a very vivid image I have. You do that.
Yeah.
If you just have a two-wheeler, you don't have a car, you call your friends and be like, yaar, mujhe leke chal chalega kya? Because everybody wants to put their best foot forward. Okay. So you need freedom from that I should be able to live the way I want to live without caring about judgments of other people. Right? Without caring about other judgments. So status se mujhe free hona hai.
And that comes from the acceptance, where you accept yourself completely.
When you accept yourself. How we have achieved that level, like how do we feel that once we have the money, once my family is settled and once my family accepts me the way I am, the way what I'm doing, they feel proud in me, then I'll be confident enough to go out and be confident in front of the world that I have the money, I have the emotions, and then there you go. And then is the fourth level, which is psychological freedom, which completely shatters the all three freedoms which we talked about. That is the ultra edge. That is absolute happiness. That's peace in motion. What do I mean by that? At every point, since the beginning till the time we realize that these three freedoms which we talked about are irrelevant, till we reach to that point, we are till 1, 2, 3. In all three cases, in whatever age you get, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 40, maybe it's 60. Most of the people get at 60s or 50s. Okay, retirement years. The psychological freedom means for a very long time, for the maximum part of your life, you feel about, I need freedom to do whatever I want to do, freedom to buy whatever I want to buy, freedom to talk to whoever I want to do, freedom to go wherever I want to go, freedom to feel and take decisions, the kind of decision I want to make. Everything is freedom to, but that's irrelevant because the real freedom is freedom from anger, freedom from judgment, freedom from myself, where I'm overjudging myself, freedom from me not having the mood swings which I have, freedom from cravings of the things which are bad for me. Everything is freedom from. So once you realize that's a psychological freedom that even I haven't achieved yet. I am still the freedom too. I'm still a kid. But that is what freedom is. The real freedom is when you free yourself from the needs and the desires which external environment has formed and implied on you. You're not born with the fact that, you know what, I need to earn X amount of money. You're not born with the fact that I need freedom from my family. You're not born with the fact that I need to be really superior in my society. You have been taught since the beginning. You have been conditioned that way. So every time you're like freedom too. The moment you realize that everything you need to achieve, the kind of happiness which you need in life, comes from freedom from, then you achieve everything. When you kill everything which you have been conditioned for, you uncondition yourself, and then you try to free yourself from the emotions which you have, and then then you're bliss. Every moment you're enjoying.
This is super powerful. And what I can get from this is, and also correct me if I'm wrong, right? So the first thing is like, it begins with the self-acceptance, where you accept yourself, where you are absolutely at peace with yourself, where, you don't let anyone else to say otherwise, that you are not good enough, you are not enough, you can't do this. Because oftentimes it so happens that people are passing on their own limitation and conditioning, not necessarily is going to be true for you or your case. If I say that, Raj, this can't happen, then not necessarily that, Raj can't do that. That's probably, I believe that I can't do it.
I have a different take for it. Okay, so I'm sorry I'm cutting you here, but first is acceptance. Absolutely. Okay, but you need to accept that if you're not good enough, then you're not. The first stage of growth is realization.
Yeah.
So once you realize that, okay, if other people are telling you that you suck, then you do. You really need to get above that.
Mm-hmm.
Why is other person feeling like you suck? They're not your enemies. They feel that there are 10 other people who are doing the same thing better than you, and this is a race, no matter how hard we try to deny it. So you need to realize I suck, but now I need to change that. Today I suck. Tomorrow I'm going to be a rock star. So the whole game is accepting that even if you think that you're useless, accept it. It's nothing bad. Nobody was born a rock star.
Mm.
Every painter, every billionaire, every successful content creator, every monk, everybody was born in a way where they were not able to decide when to walk, when to pee, when to poop. They don't know. We all were born in the same way, right? We were just walking, playing in our own pee and own poop. Like fuckers, we don't know anything. So we all were horrible since the beginning. So there's no matter where we start, we are horrible. So you need to accept that. Once you accept that, then you start thinking about how can I become better now? If I will not admit that I speak in a bad way, then how will I ever take that one course to improve my public speaking skills? How will I ever take that one step which will improve my communication skills, which will improve my persuasion skills? If I know that I am not fit and I'm really lazy, if I don't accept that, how will I ever wake up and go run? So acceptance is, it's not about telling yourself, no, bro, you are really good. The world is stupid. They're limited. Like, let them say whatever you say. You're a rock star. No, fucker, you're not. You accept the reality. Whoever you are, you are. You can't change what you have done to yourself right now, or where you are born and how you have been born, right? You can't change your now. You can change your tomorrow. So accept your now, because of the past, whatever has happened. This is how you are. This is how I am. I don't have 6 packs, but tomorrow I will have. I'm working towards it. And I'm genuinely working towards it.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. It starts with acceptance, right? Where you accept where you are and you accept where you want to go, or maybe see what it's going to take for you to go from where you are to where you want to be, right? So once you have the acceptance and once you have accepted, okay, and the sense where I said acceptance is from the perspective that you accept yourself and not trying to be someone else.
Absolutely.
That's the kind of perspective where I said, like, when you accept yourself, you accept the way you are, and then see, as you said, right, if there's anything that I need that's hindering my growth, where, I'm really bad at and I can't do this. And then I look at two things. Number one, is this going to hinder in my goals or something that I want to achieve in my life? Should I focus and get better at it? Or should I look other way around, which is my strengths? Like, what if I, totally give up on this and this is not going to hinder, and that's okay. I don't have to spend all my life focusing and trying and becoming good at something that I'm not. And, instead I can play on my strengths and maybe do something else, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think leveraging your strength is the most underrated thing. It's something which we have not taught. That's a fault of the society we live in. And I say this bolded out loud because since the beginning, we have been taught that, what? You failed in maths, take extra classes. You topped science, you should take extra classes for that. You really need to do that. Double down on your strengths. If you suck at math, you're probably going to suck at math. Start working on something which you love. So that's the fault of our society, that we try to cover our weaknesses. We try to polish our weaknesses. And in that process, we forget that we have some strengths. If we polish even a bit of that, we'll be unstoppable. Not everybody can be everybody. Even in the business, I feel businessman's job is full. It's complete. There's no skill which a businessman doesn't need, which an entrepreneur doesn't need. There's no skill. He needs everything. But even the top of the top entrepreneurs realize that they are good at one thing and they only need to do that. If you're good with numbers, you stick to accounts, finance, numbers. Okay. If you're good with coding, you stick to that. If you're good with sales and marketing, you stick with that. Like Steve Jobs was not building products. He was building perception and bringing ideas because he was good at imagining things which were not possible.
Yeah.
He didn't sit down and be like, you know what? I run $1 billion empire, but today I suck at maths. So I should start taking care of my finances in the Apple. ये जो thinking वाला पार्टी कोई और कर लेगा. iPod किसी और को बनाने देते हैं. मैं let me cover my weaknesses first.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen like that, and that's the problem with our society. We have been taught since the beginning, oh, you suck at that, you should improve that. Bro, I rock at this one thing, I should double down on that.
90% of us are slipping through our life without even realizing what my strengths are and what my weaknesses are. And I think that's where the awareness comes in, where you become aware of like, what is it that I'm good at? And then comes the acceptance.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a very simple check for realizing. I call it self-realization check before bed. So every night you go back to bed. It's a very simple way to analyze your strengths and weaknesses. Okay. You make positive, you make negative. Then you just write, let's say, Raj day. There's positive, there's negative. And then there's a different column where you list down everything which you have done in the entire day. So you first list down, I have done, today I woke up at 3 p.m. Then I did a plank. Then I brushed my teeth. Then I took breakfast, which was healthy. Then I read a book. Then I spoke to my fellow entrepreneur. Then I did one podcast. Then I uploaded a content piece. Then I learned something. Then I watched an episode of House of Cards. Then I got on another podcast. Then I stalked people on Instagram. Then I was thinking about what all did I talk about in my podcast and what all questions did I ask. So I just shared that as a tweet. Okay. And now I'm dead tired. I want to sleep. And I skipped the dinner. I slept. Okay. The next morning when I wake up, I write all these things. Now all I have to do is put a plus or a minus sign in front of each of them. This I feel is a positive thing which I did. This I feel is a negative thing I did. This is positive. This is negative. This is positive. This is negative. Okay. So negative, I didn't eat dinner. Negative, I didn't talk to my mom. Negative, I didn't work on my course. Negative, I didn't work on my book. And positive can be that I spoke Positive can be I shared my content. I ate good breakfast. Positive can be I shared with the world that I ate breakfast. Positive can be I shared my stories. Positive that I talked. Okay. So you just put plus minus plus minus. You do that for 7 days. All the positives which you do, they all will be like something which will be very, very resembling with each other. Very relative. 7 days. You do it for a month, 30 days. You're going to find that all positive is the same. And then all the positive things, when you write down, you can easily analyze your strength. Where are you spending your maximum time without even realizing it? And the place where you spend your maximum time is something you're really good at. So I am spending most of my time in creating content and talking to people, in creating podcasts and creating tweets. That is my maximum day. So I'm really good at, that's my strength. Now I need to work on that so that it becomes something I get really, really good at. That's my strength. Positives, negatives, you can easily find your strengths and weaknesses within next 7 days. I bet on this. Because the place where you're spending most of your time without even realizing it is something which you're really good at. And then you need to just capitalize on this and double down on that thing and become the best person in that one. And bingo, nobody can beat you in the world.
Awesome. So it's great that you say that one thing. And for me, like when I look back at my own life, and when I look at people who have done really good in their life, they have just stick to one thing, whatever that is. They just picked one thing, they believed in that, and they just stick to it, right? And I think that's super strength a lot of people can have, because believing and staying on something for like 3, 4, 5 years and, just staying on the course is extremely, extremely difficult for a lot of people.
Yep, that is. It's difficult. But you need to realize that nobody ever achieved something significant in their life by bouncing on to 10 different things. They did one thing till the time it failed bad where they couldn't get up. So they tried another thing. Then they stuck to that thing until that failed. Then they stuck to another thing that until that failed. Then they stuck to another thing for 10 years. And then that succeeded. And one of the biggest things I want to share with everyone who's listening this, tell me one field in today's world, one skill where you can't make money. Tell me one skill which you have and you can't make money in today's world. You can make money in anything. You can be happy with anything, provided you are the best person for that. Pick up any goddamn one thing. Just talk to people, goddammit. You can become Joe Rogan and get $100 million in your bank account. Right? He did nothing for 10 years. He just called people on his set and just spoke to them for hours.
Yeah.
He is getting paid to talk. He doesn't even have a structure.
Yeah, but then sticking to 10 years to one thing, that's what you need, right?
Absolutely. That's what you need. That's what is required. My only big thing is, so I don't feel that anything you're born with.
Yeah.
Everything is conditioned once you're born, after you're born. Okay. So I was not a born speaker, or you're not a born podcaster. We saw someone else. We thought, oh, yaar, ye to sahi lag raha hai. Main try karta hu. Then you start trying it. Then people appreciate you. Then you're like, oh my God, this is my passion. Yeah. It's not your passion in the beginning. Just 5 people complimented you for that thing. So you feel really good and validated. So you want to do it more.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not your fucking passion. Then you do it again and again. You're so deep into it. You're trying to get yourself better because you're getting compliments. You're getting validated by other people, right? You're getting compliments. You do more. You're like, I want to do it better. I want to do it better. You're deep down into it. 1 year later, you realize, fuck, now this is all I know. This is all I'm interested about. These are the people I look up to. I have role models who are in this field. I read books which is of this field. I read content which is that field.
System out of it.
Exactly. You've created an entire world around you. And then it becomes your passion. So most of the people, after 1 year, when it's actually time, when it's your passion and you know everything about it, and now it's your time to start capitalizing on it, you feel like, yaar, abhi tak to result hi nahi hai. Ab podcasting mere liye hai hi nahi, let me do something else.
Yeah.
And bingo, this was not my passion. This is not something which is giving me results. This is not something that, bro, it's just 1 year. Nothing starts before 1 year.
Yeah.
Now imagine, okay, now this one person is feeling this is not my passion. So he tries and waste another year to find something good. Then he finds that. Then he does that for 1 year. And then again he realizes, fuck, even this is not for me. So he's technically wasting years after years after years. And end mein after 50 years, he'll be like, oh, you know what? When I was 22, I should have started that college band with my boys. When I was 27, I should have quit that job and started stand-up comedy. Oh, when I was 23, I should have listened to some stupid person called Raj Shamani on BJ's podcast. Ki like, fucker, I should also start creating content or become a public speaker. My life would have been different. And then realize, and then you start regretting. As you grow older, you realize it has always been about just one thing. That one thing, if you become good at, if you stick to it, see, there's no science. You choose one thing, you do it better than others, you get complimented. When people compliment you, you start doing it more. When you do it more, you create a world around it. Once you create a world around it, you start getting good at it. Now, you really need to get best at it. And once you stick to it for long, no, you don't need to become good at it. Just stick to it for next 10 years. You automatically become better than 95% of the people around the world.
Yeah.
So if you're sticking to it, only sticking is making you to 5% club. What else do you need?
Yeah. It's very, important that you say that. I was looking at like the podcast thing. There are 2.2 million podcasts. And everybody's like, oh my God, everybody's getting into podcasts. There are 2.2 million podcasts right now. And then came another stat, which goes only 30% of that 2 million podcast has gone beyond 10 episodes. 70% people who started did not even reach to their 10th episode, which is, if you think about like a weekly release schedule, they didn't even reach the third month. They gave up in the second month because I did not get enough listeners. Nobody's listening to my thing. I don't think I'm a good interviewer. I can interview people. I don't think I can have conversations. And like 70% people are gone. And even when you now zoom into that 30, I think only the number that came out was only few 100,000 out of million that is actively putting the content out. I think I can't stress on the fact that sticking to the long, but there's one thing that I would like to add to this, and you'd agree as well. It's okay for you to test different things in the beginning to make sure that you enjoy the process. Because at the end of, because Ras said that and Bijay said this, you know what? Pick one thing and stick to it. You don't have to stick to the first thing that you, pick. Go and test and see if that's something that you really enjoy, or maybe, if that's something you enjoy the process of it. Like, when I started my podcast, for the first 6 months, 20 people were listening. 20 for the first 6 months. But the only thing that got me going was because I would love having conversations, staying awake in the night. I would wake up every single morning to edit my podcast. And that was giving me high. Like, I was enjoying the process. And everything else, because I was enjoying it, and then followed, right? Whether that's, listeners coming and listening to it, whether that's, being able to monetize it, whatever that is, everything followed just because enjoying the process.
Yep. And now there are two things, okay? One, you pick up something which you're already doing. That's what I said. Self-actualization test before bed.
Oh.
So before bed, whatever you have done, you write it down. And then you pick up your own behavior, your own habits, your own activities, which you have been doing it subconsciously. And you have been utilizing your maximum time there. That's what you got to pick it up. So first, like, if you want to pick one thing and stick to it, stick to something which you're already sticking to.
Yes.
Okay. I tell you, okay, the most weirdest job, I think it's the wrong sentence, but the weirdest job I've heard of, one of my friends, he works in a tech company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he has zero knowledge about tech. What was his passion in an interview when he was asked? I love stalking people on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I love stalking people on Instagram. They asked him, why do you say so? He's like, when I look back at my time, I have been actively stalking people for 3 to 4 hours a day. Just anyone and everyone. If somebody follows me, or somebody follows my girlfriend, or somebody follows some celebrity, somebody follows someone, I just go to their profile, I check everything they do, the people they hang out with. I just go on beyond just people and numbers and be like, kisko kitne likes aa rahe hain and who's uploading at what time. I just go do all of this because I enjoy. I love stalking. I love gossiping. I just want to find out something about someone. That person literally got hired for this thing. That you are here, you're getting 2 lakhs per month as salary because you have to collect data on influencers who are coming up and just see what they are doing. So you just need to be true to yourself. Whatever you love doing, find out how you can monetize that and then stick to it. If he loves talking, it means his researching skills are really good on social media platforms. That is a goddamn skill which most of the predictive analysis companies are looking for. So you don't tell me that you are not doing something which is useful to someone. We all are doing something subconsciously or consciously which is useful to someone. All you need to do is pick that one thing and then stick to it to refine it and polish it so that it becomes useful to someone. That's it. So let's say stalking is not going to land you a job. His researching skills got him.
Yeah.
Talking to each other is not going to get us money. Converting these talks into an interesting piece of content which can be shared with people, which will be useful for audience, that can be done.
Yeah.
I love talking. You can be like, oh, you know what? I talked to 10 people. Bro, polish it.
Yeah.
You can be like, I love acting. मैं कांच के सामने उठ के रोज शाहरुख खान को मिमिक करता हूँ. That can't be done. Creating content will. No matter what you are doing is useful to someone. It's just you have not polished it enough or presented it or packaged it in a way where you are not able to convince someone else that they need it. Everybody needs something. Somewhere, someone needs something which you have already. And prove me wrong. I am here, right here. You can take all my Instagram, like all my social media channels. Text me, prove me wrong. Tell me something which you're doing and it's not. Even if you're sitting on your pot every morning and thinking about ki asman neela kyun aur pani geela kyun, it means you have good critical thinking skills. You just need to polish it in a way which will be helpful for some startup who's trying to build a tech product. That's critical thinking. Even if you're just curious and you sit every morning on a pot, you take 1 hour instead of 10 minutes. That's a powerful skill to have. You just need to polish it in a way which can be useful for other people. So pick that skill and do that. Now comes the second part where you talked about you need to love the process. You can't love the process until you detach yourself from the rewards.
Yes.
If you are doing it for the rewards,
yeah,
you won't be able to detach yourself from the process. You won't enjoy the process. You'll have that dopamine rush ki I achieve it and then I love it. I accomplish a task, then I love it. There's no harm in that as well. There's nothing. But if you want to test the waters, then you really need to detach yourself from rewards. Rewards is good. We all are working for rewards. At the end of the day, we all are monkeys, man. We all are trying for that one banana fruit which is there on the tree. There are 100 other monkeys. Whoever reaches first gets the banana. We all are aiming for that banana. But it's really, really, really important for you and me and everyone to realize that at the end of the day, we all are just monkeys. We all are just trying to chase that banana only. And in the end, if you're good enough, you're going to get the banana. So there's no point to go hard on yourself. There's no point to attach your happiness with just, like, choice is yours. Banana, you're going to get it. Every monkey is going to get banana if you're going to be alive. So if you're dead, that means you didn't get banana. You didn't get something which you wanted to. You didn't get things which you need in order to survive. That's why you're dead. So if you're dead, it doesn't matter anyway. But if you're alive, you're going to get it. Now the choice is yours. Whether you enjoy the process of getting that banana or you just compare yourself with other monkeys and be like, oh, ye zyada uchal gaya, ye mujhse aage nikal gaya aur ye pahunch gaya. Isne utha liya. You're going to get it. It's okay. So my analogy to that is each and every one of us, we all are at the end of the day working for rewards only. But enjoy the process. Because at the end of the day, we all are just monkeys. Don't go hard on yourself. Kya kar liya humne aake? There was nothing before us. There's nothing gonna be after us. Bro, it's so chill. If I die tomorrow, nothing's gonna matter. But if I'm alive, I will eat food because that's the only thing which will keep me alive. So I'm getting that. What's the point of overthinking and attaching? कि जब मुझे खाना मिलेगा मैं तभी खुश होऊंगा. Why? What happened?
No, I mean, I'm like just processing that. It's going super deep, way deeper than I thought it would be. So I'm really processing a lot of it, which is amazing. And I think there's a lot of food for thought for a lot of people listening to this as well. So then the first step you said is wealth creation.
Yeah, financial freedom
and wealth creation. Do you think that is possible for everyone?
Absolutely. So this is how you create wealth. Okay. So wealth creation means making money. All the freedom, okay, we talked about, they come in steps. First step is wealth creation, financial freedom. Second step is emotional freedom. Third is societal. Fourth is psychological. So first, in order to reach to a level where you're like, Buddha, main duniya mein sab achieve kar liya, you need to achieve something. Because until you get money, you won't realize that you don't need money. Period.
Yeah.
Everybody who says that money is not the most important thing has money.
Yeah.
Everybody who says it. Like from your Bill Gates to your normal people to your pados ka uncle. Everyone who says that, money, success, fame are not the most important things in life, they have achieved it all. That's why they know that they're not the most important things in life. Okay. Or they have never achieved it. That's why they just want to repelling it. कि यार हमसे तो हो नहीं पाएगा, तुम भी छोड़ दो. So that is how it is.
Yeah.
First thing is financial freedom. Now, how do you achieve financial freedom? Okay. There's a simple way. We talked about one thing. So one thing means, okay, how do you create wealth? First, you need to understand why people pay you. Because you give them something which they need.
Yeah.
When now there are 100 people giving the same thing, which people need or people don't need, how do you stand out? You stand out by getting better. It's as simple. You pick up one thing, one specific knowledge, one specific skills. So you use that as your leverage. In the world, why people are able to make money? Because they have some kind of leverage. Either they have 100 people working for them, so it's a people leverage. Either they have $1 million to start their business, so they have money leverage. Or they have, built some kind of software, proprietary, patent, formula, copy, like kuch aisa bana liya, which nobody else in the world knows. So they have that intellectual property leverage. Or they have the leverage of knowledge. So I feel people is very difficult. Money is very difficult. Coding or intellectual property or formula, even that's very difficult. But specific knowledge leverage is easy as hell in the internet era.
Yeah.
So you need to have leverage over people. Leverage means advantage.
Yeah.
What is that you have that other people don't have? It can be either money, it can be either people, it can be either some kind of formula or an intellectual property, or it can be knowledge. So you need to have the knowledge about one thing, one specific thing, and you need to have so much. You need to be the expert, that one person for that one particular thing. Once you become that, you have leverage over everyone who's trying to get it. Everyone. Once you have that, bingo, you make tons of money. It's easy. I'm not going to get into nitty-gritties of be like, you need to innovate, become an innovator, become an entrepreneur, pave your own path. Bro, that's difficult. It's not easy. It's very difficult for people to come up with another Apple iPhone. नहीं तो 100 लोग कर चुके होते. Right? It's very difficult for people to come up with, like, to beat Mukesh Ambani. Because he has the money leverage.
Yep.
कुछ नहीं कर सकते तुम. He can come in with Jio, he can beat the entire country. And then there's another one which is people leverage. Where like, okay, have you heard of Dabbawalas?
Yeah, I'm over. Absolutely.
So they have the people leverage.
Yes.
You can't beat their network. Right? So you need to beat people something which is very easy. So that in easier terms, if you can amass money, once you have money, then you can hire the right people, then you can accumulate more wealth, then you can have all the kind of leverage. But first is, how do you make money for the first thing? So you pick up one thing, you learn so much about it, you experiment so much, you get so good at that one thing that you are the best person for that, so that you get paid the most. Specific knowledge leverage is the best thing on planet Earth and the easiest right now. If you're somebody who's just starting, who's alone, who feels like, I don't know how to create wealth, if you're asking this question, it means you don't have any leverage right now. If you had a leverage, you know the way. Somebody who has right people working for him, 100 people, he's not asking how to create wealth. Somebody who has $5 million in his bank is not asking how to create wealth. He knows where to invest his $5 million so that he can make more money. Somebody who has nothing is asking how to create wealth and how to achieve financial freedom. So your way is pick up one thing which you're really interested at, become the best in the fucking world. If not the world, then your country. If not the country, then your city. If not the city, then your locality at least. Become the best person in that. Once you're best in that, people will come to you, people will flock to you, and then you can charge them a premium. And you don't have to become best of everything. BJ doesn't have to become the best YouTuber in the world. Raj doesn't have to become the best podcaster in the world. We just need to stick to our thing. It has to be like, if tomorrow when somebody comes on my channel, if like Raj is, I speak well, let's say I am trying to improve my communication skills and I'm getting really better at that. Like I'm trying to hone my skill at that. I'm trying to get better at that particular skill. I am not going out there and be like, you know what? I'll be the best YouTuber out there. No, I'm not even competing. My way of creating wealth is, come bro, I'm ready for everyone that I know how to communicate better than you. And I can do that on my channel, on my podcast. And that is where I beat you. And if you want to beat me in that, you can't if you're starting today because I'm already 8 years ahead of you. I can't see this in other field. If I decide today that, oh, communication skills are dying. No, it's not. Somebody will come and pay me for it. Imagine if Mukesh Ambani has, for example, has a granddaughter or a grandson, gets somebody, okay. And then that person, Mukesh Ambani, decides that he needs to become the best speaker so that the way he starts speaking, Reliance ka pura AMC, annual general meeting, okay, AGM, should shake. Then he would come to me and be like, train him. So specific knowledge leverage is the best way to amass wealth in today's world. It's easiest way. Best because it's easiest. And nobody can take it away from you. I'm just giving extreme examples so that I really want people to imagine of that level, okay? I'm not saying that the richest man on planet, like, or richest man in the country is going to come to me and ask me. I'm not that big yet. One day, sure. But not today. I'm just giving you an extreme example of imagination. So you can create wealth by just leveraging that. Okay. Now you have to have leverage, and then with leverage, what I feel in today's world is really important is distribution. So leverage means you need to build. Okay. So specific knowledge, matlab, you need to build that knowledge. You need to build yourself in a way so that you're the best person for this one thing. The second part of it comes is you need to distribute it. If I am the best person on it, I'm the best communicator. If I'm the best person to teach you communication skills, then you should also know about it. If you don't know, my skills are useless, zero, right? So I need to distribute it on so many platforms, so many channels, so that it reaches you in a right way. That's why I am launching my own course. So I'm launching my own course. I'm running my own ads because now I have money to run ads. And with that ads, I'm going to tell everybody, hey, listen, I'm teaching a public speaking course. I'm teaching a communication skills course, which has helped me a lot in my life and helped me amass a wealth. Let me teach you the same thing. And I'm distributing it. I'm distributing through my content. I'm distributing through my ads. I'm distributing with the power of people, with the power of money, with the power of my content, everything. So you need to distribute as well. So first is build. Second is sell. Distribution means sell. You need to sell yourself out there. You need to be really good at sales skills. Sales again comes to persuasion. Persuasion has the fundamental of communication. You can't be a good persuader. You can't influence people. You can't be a good salesperson if you can't speak well. More than speaking, if you can't communicate well. Right? So building and selling. These are the only two skills or the two concepts you need to understand in your life in order to achieve any amount of wealth. You can go beyond what you have thought in your life with just these two things. Build and sell. Building is about mindset. Selling is about psychology. So you need to have the right mindset. So building is you need to learn and acquire and learn from the right people who has already done the same thing which you want to learn.
Yes.
So I have this rule that, okay, the best way to build yourself up, the best way to build your mindset is hold a hand of the person who's already done something which you want to achieve.
Absolutely.
I'm giving you my example because I can just right now see it. It's like, if you feel like, oh, Raj talks well, hold Raj's hand and forget about everything else. If you feel that BJ is the excellent interviewer, hold BJ's hand and did do that. If you want to become an interviewer, whatever you want to do, find your role model in that field, learn everything from that person, buy everything which they're selling, consume everything which they're talking about, do anything and everything. Just try to stay connected to them. That's the fastest way to build yourself. And then comes the second part, which is selling. It's psychology. So build is mindset, sell is psychology. You need to understand yourself and people. If you can't understand why we are talking right now, why am I giving my time to this guy and why he is giving his time to me, why we are asking these kind of questions, why am I over explaining myself? If you can't understand over all of that, nothing is going to help you out. Because until you understand the psychology of what's going on in other person's mind, you won't be able to tell a difference between what they want and what do they not. And you just need to press on the thing where they want something but they are resistant to buy it. Once you understand that, you have got it.
There you go.
That's the simplest way to achieve wealth.
That's amazing, and that makes a lot of sense. And yeah,
I really don't want to go into nitty-gritties of like, oh, you know what, you should start investing, you should start mutual funds, you should start that. Bro, if you have money, you'll figure it out. There are hundreds of financial advisors to help you out. If you have 10,000 a month extra, you know there are financial advisors to advise you mutual funds. If you have 50 lakhs a month extra, then you have portfolio management service providers who can handle your portfolio for you and help you grow your wealth. If you have 1 crore a month extra, then you will have tons of people approaching you for investing in their businesses. You don't need my advice after that. You just need my advice to reach your first 10,000, first 10 lakh, first 20 lakh, first 1 crore. And that you can do it with build and sell.
So where do you see future headed with, and what are the things that people should really be looking at?
It's inevitable that everything is going to be controlled by robots. Okay. It's inevitable. We can't stop that.
Yeah.
The only thing which can stop that is selling skills. Robot can't persuade you. Because selling has a deep core involved. Apart from need and want, demand and supply gap, there's a deep core thing involved which is called trust. And you will be able to trust a human way more than you will be able to trust a machine. So that's there. Once you will be able to sell, I think the future skills. If you're talking about that, is selling. Okay, that's one. Persuasion skill. And number two, which I feel, is branding. So everything will be controlled with computers. There will be 2 or 3 people or 10 people or one person in every field who will have the power to tweet one thing to fuck up the entire algorithm of computer. We have already started seeing that. One person tweets about one thing, the entire currency or the entire technology starts seeing the spike because the world starts believing that. The moment Elon Musk tweets, oh, Doge, swoop, Doge is up. It's controlled by computers. Nobody's controlling that currency, right? It's the influence that person has, that the personal brand that person has built, where thousands of these reckless people of monkeys who are trying to capture that fruit, because that one person at the top says, this is the fruit we all should want, we all should get. So the future is personal branding. And to break it down in simpler words, if I talk too much psychology and all of that, let me break it down for people to understand it better. Is when it was our parents' time or grandparents' time, when we had to buy an air conditioner or let's say refrigerator. So if you want to buy the new fridge for our house, our parents would ask their 5 friends and be like, yeah, tujhe kuch pata hai kya? So फिर उनका कोई friend, so one of their friends will be one of the most trusted people who will be like, oh, you know what? I have one friend who sells really good fridge. You should go check his shop. Whatever he suggests, you should take it. He's a trustable person.
Yes.
So you go with that. You trust that person, right? That used to happen when our parents' generation. Now, if you want to buy a fridge, you are not going to ask 5 of your friends. You are going to go on Google and search for the best possible one. Now, When you go to Google today, you find 10 fridges which are exactly same. 10 companies which are exactly same servicing, same thing, same services, same features, same price. Now what do I buy? Then you will see someone on their Instagram posing with that XYZ fridge and you're like, oh, ये मैं इसको follow करता हूँ. I follow this person and he or she uses that fridge. It means it should be good. Then you'll buy that. You're not going to pick up the phone and talk to 5 people. You'll just see things. You will be influenced by the people who are influencing you on daily life. So branding is really important. Really, really important, personal branding, because there's a science behind it as well. Earlier, there was this age where there was lack of information. So if you're going out of the car showroom, there's a salesperson who would come to you and sell you a car and tell you all about the features, and you'll have to trust him and buy. So the person who's selling had more information than the person who's buying it. So whatever that person told you, you bought it. Because there was lack of information. You didn't know. You were like, it comes to insurance policies as well. It comes to whatever those salespeople were selling you, you were buying because you didn't know. So they can even drive you out of fear, ambition, love, or status. Whatever emotion they triggered, you bought because they knew more about the product than you. Right? तुम कार खरीदने जाते थे, they knew more. They told you about the car. You bought it because you felt, oh, LXI model nahi, VXI model is the best. Because the salesperson tells you. So there's lack of information. Then we moved to an era called information parity, which was last couple of years. Information parity is everybody knows everything. So now when a buyer goes to the seller, they know what do they want. They know the kind of car they want. They know the model they want. They know that, oh, if I have 10 lakh rupees, then I need to buy Ciaz, or I need to buy Verna, or I need to buy Amaze, or I need to buy Accent, because I know which car is the best. I know it because there was information parity. You knew about it, right? So here, earlier you would trust the person because the person had more information. So whoever has the more information, you trust that person. Now there's information parity where everybody knew everything. So you trusted. Who do you trust? You trust your instinct because you know more. You know everything. You know equally as a person. So there are options. You're like, I choose the best option. Now we have come to an era which is information overload, where a buyer knows more than the seller. A buyer knows that a seller is trying to sell you a car, be like, you know what, Ciaz comes at 10 lakh rupees, these are all the features. A buyer will come and tell you, like, you know what, 10 lakh rupees mein to wahan par I am getting Verna as well. I'm getting the same car in 10 lakhs. It has all the same features. What are you offering me? When there are two cars, they're same, and the buyer knows it, and you buyer cannot differentiate between which one to buy. Who stands out? The person who has built better trust. Because services are same, price is same, information is same, features are same, buyer has the same capacity of buying. In the overload arena, where there's overload of information, where buyer can't decide kaun sa kharidu, he doesn't know which one to buy. At that time, buyer will decide based on trust, based on the brand value. And that is why I feel the future is of the people who can command that premium, who can command that personal brand.
Awesome. It's been such an amazing conversation. So now I have something called is enlightening round. So are you ready for this? This is going to be short.
Was this not enlightening at all?
So yes, let's get started. What inspires you to do everything that you do?
The fact that everything can be solved with just urge to learn communication skills, and people don't know about it and people not aware of it. That inspires me every day. Every day I see someone fighting. Every day I see someone struggling. Every day I find someone not able to achieve their dreams. I know the only reason is personal growth, and personal growth starts with just being able to communicate with themselves better, just to be able to communicate with other people better. That's it. If I'm not able to see everyone doing that thing because I've done it for myself, I feel bad, and that inspires me. That gets me out of the bed.
What is the one wrong belief about yourself that you have held for the longest period of time in your life?
That I know everything. Earlier, I used to be like, oh, you know what? Oh, stocks, I know. Oh, podcast, I know. Oh, content creation, I know. Public speaking, I know. That was the worst belief I had. The fact is, people who grow are the ones who realize that you don't know anything, but I'm willing to learn. So the day I started believing that I don't know, but I am willing to do everything so that I can know at one time is something which I learned in my life. And the worst believers, I know. People who say that I know how to do this, I know how to do that, they suck. I should not say this, but you really do suck. You don't know anything. Nobody does. And that was bad belief about me. I used to.
So, what do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for the guy who didn't quit figuring out every goddamn day. I want to be remembered for this person every day who was trying to achieve happiness and trying to figure out how to achieve that freedom which gives him happiness. So I want to be known for that. I want to be known for this one thing that, figuring that Raj Shamani is the person who's helping everybody else to achieve freedom which they want, which will make them happy. And he's trying to do that by figuring out himself and making mistakes so that other people don't make the same.
Awesome. Do you read a lot? How do you consume content?
I observe a lot. Like, I don't read a lot, but I do read. I won't deny. I read like 10 books in a year, but I observe a lot. A lot. I observe people. I've observed you in the conversation a lot. I learn from people. You're a very good listener, so I want to have that in my life. That's how I learn, brother. That's how I learn.
Yeah, and I think that's a superpower, though. So for the past few kind of years, I've been thinking like, hey, you know what? I want to read more and I want to learn more, by the other modes. And I realized like I'm not one of those, learners who want to be in the classroom and then, tell me everything that you know. Instead, I would go and see what is it that you are doing. I want to learn by seeing what you are doing, not what you are saying or what you are teaching.
I say this a lot. People buy what other people are selling, but they should really buy how they are.
Yes. That's a really good point. And that reminds me of when I used to go on these seminars, right? Or the training. And then the upsell happens at the end of it. The moment the speaker on the stage starts selling, everybody's like, he's going to sell me another program now. Half of the people want to run out. And I'm like, this is amazing. And like, I have pages and pages of notes of the lines that I have used and the structure that they have followed. And then that has helped me in creating my own sales pitch. I never knew, when I was sitting on that audience, I never knew that I'm ever going to sell anything or not, but I would just make notes of that saying that, I just want to see, I'm not bothered about what is your offer, what is your offering, but I want to see beyond that on how did you structure the whole thing. And like at the end of it, I have like 20 scripts to go through when I was planning my own sales pitch. So
I believe if someone has gotten a stage and good reviews as a position where he can sell something, it means he has some substance.
Yep.
Or else he wouldn't be able to survive till now. So you really need to dig. I would urge people to buy anything they feel like.
Yeah.
Don't resist yourself. Buy and then figure out whether it's shit or no. People call other people shit and fraud before even realizing what do they have to offer.
Yeah. The first interaction, the first time you come across and then like, you judge the person by the look of it, by the appearance, whatnot.
Yes. The moment someone starts selling, you're like, oh, bechne aa gaya, or fraud. Bro, if he won't sell, he won't be able to make money. He won't be able to survive. He won't be able to fulfill his dreams. That's what we all want.
And also, he will not be able to serve you. If you don't sell, then he
won't be able to serve you. He won't be able to give you the best value which he has because he's holding that value for the last person who is going to buy the bottom of the funnel.
So Raj, if you were to start this all over again, what are those 3 things that you would have done differently or maybe started early?
Nothing, and nothing. I think genuinely I will change nothing because everything has shaped me the way I am. I never look at past because what's done is done. I don't want to change anything. If I am here, it's because something which must have happened. Because if I was this wise, I'm not wise even today, but I'm wiser than before. But if I was this wise before, I would have been a different person. I wouldn't be able to achieve what I've achieved today. Because anger, rage, wisdom, happiness, hunger, freedom, mindset, so many things have helped me. Emotions, parents, surroundings, city, classes, failures, everything has gotten me here. My mistakes, my stupidity, me trying to lie, me trying to pretend someone who I'm not. I'm falling flat when I told people about some lie and people called it off, and then I became a joke in the entire school. That all, I wouldn't even change that. That was the worst feeling I had in my life, that I lied about going to a trip to Dubai just to become cool in front of my friends. Everybody got it off. I became a joke in the entire school. I will not even change that. That was the worst time in my life. I wanted to kill myself at that time. I don't want to change that either, because that shaped me the kind of person I am today. So nothing at all. But if there's one thing with everyone, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't take you have this image of yourself outside you, your mind, your house, or your door. Nobody gives a fuck about you. Nobody gives. So stop taking yourself too seriously. Nobody cares about you. Only you are the one who cares about you. You're gonna give yourself everything. So go easy on you, brother.
Yeah.
Or sister.
What are you reading lately? Or maybe reading about?
Stocks, man, stocks. Like, I really want to understand wealth creation. I really want to understand more about how the financial system of this country works. That's what I'm trying to.
Awesome. I have one last question that I want to ask to you before I ask you that question. If the people who discovered you for the first time here on this podcast would like to reach out to you, maybe consume more of your content, get into your world, where they can find you.
If you want to hear my podcast and my guests, which I am getting on, and not hear me talking because you already got it here. If you want to hear people who I find interesting and who I learn from, I'm getting every mentor and every person who I want to learn from on my podcast. You can check it on Figuring Out with Raj Shamani. That's my podcast.
I'll link that up.
You can just type Raj Shamani on Spotify, on iTunes, on podcast, anywhere, Google Podcasts, Apple, wherever you want to find me, you can find it. That's one way. If you want to learn what I learn, if you want to see what am I putting out after learning my takes of the world, then you can follow me on Instagram. And if you want to see my takes of how I'm trying to advise young people and brands and influencers, you can go tap me on LinkedIn. And if you just want to see my mind farts, if you just want to see that Raj, जो मन में आया बोल दिया, जो इच्छा हुई वो कर दिया. If you just want to see what I'm thinking at this point, how I'm taking notes, if you want to see those, like the unfiltered raw thoughts, you can find me on Twitter. And everywhere, the handle and the username is same, RAJSHAMANI @Raj Shamani. That's it.
There you go.
Thank you, man. This
is
is fun.
Yeah. So here's the last question. Imagine you are standing on a stage, and this is the largest stadium that has ever been built in the history of the world. There are millions and millions of people on that stadium, eagerly and passionately waiting to listen to you. And you have been given only 1 minute of time to share the most important lesson that you have learned in your life. What would be your message? I won't
even take 1 minute. You do you, I do me, and let Bill Gates do Bill Gates. That's it. I want every person to realize that you need to do what you feel is the best. Everything in the world works. The thing is, you need to find out what works best for you. You don't need to become Raj. You don't need to become Bill Gates. You don't need to try and follow routine Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Gary Vaynerchuk has. You do you. That's it. You do you, I do me, and let Bill Gates do Bill Gates. That's the message I want. All right, we have set a new record here with the longest episode ever. So thank you so much, Raz. This has been a great conversation. I really enjoyed having you on the show. Been such a great listening to your thoughts. And at this point, I must say that I learned a ton from this episode, and the way that you think, that it's just been great. Thank you so much. Thank you, man. Thank you for calling here. It has been such an amazing podcast because after a long time, I actually got to filter out my thoughts without a time limit, because it's always like, 30 seconds mein karna hai, 1 minute mein karna hai, 6 minutes mein karna. Like, it has been such an amazing time here because after a long time, I just sat there and I thought about things which I've never thought about. I talked about things which were there deep inside me, and I never got a chance to take it out because I was always in the hustle and bustle. Thanks for allowing me to take more of your time and making this the longest podcast and giving me this opportunity. And I'm grateful that you called me here. Thanks, man.
Hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Inspiring Talk podcast. You can find the show notes page at theinspiringtalk.com/115. I would really appreciate if you can take a screenshot of this episode and share it on your Instagram story. When you do that, don't forget to tag Raj @Raj Shamani and me @Bijay Speaks. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next. Now, go out there and do something inspiring.